Welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I live on the internet. It's where everyone lives now. We have no homes and we just live in this weird digital world because of the pandemic. And I have a band that hasn't been on the show before, which is kind of nice. It's very tempting in this weird time where I'm recording all of these from home to just keep relying on the same artists that have been on the show over and over again because it's easy. But it's nice that I'm able to reach out and talk to artists that have not appeared on the podcast before. So I think the best way to start this off is if the three of you want to introduce yourselves in whichever order makes the most sense, and just give some background on what instrument you play in the band, and then maybe just some history about where the band's coming from.
Okay, so hi, I'm Emily. I sing and I play guitar and I write lyrics and songs.
Cool.
I'm Jenna. I play guitar and violin, and I help out with writing songs.
And I'm Lauren, and I play keys and some percussion. And I think out of the three of us, I help the least with writing songs, but that's okay.
Yeah, as long as there's two of them doing it, right? It's yeah, you have it covered. Sounds good. So I know the band is fairly new in the sense that you're just kind of working on this tape that's coming out very soon. But what's the actual timeline of how long you've actually been around as a trio?
We kind of started making music in like the summer of 2018. And then like a year after that was like our first show. So we haven't been around too long in either sense, but I feel like a lot has happened and it's been very supportive and nice.
Cool. Well, how did the connection with House of Wonders work out? Because they're sort of suddenly have appeared over the past year and are releasing a ton of stuff, and it's all been really good. So, I mean, it's got to be nice to be associated with a label that's putting out a lot of quality. So far, all their tapes are great, right? So how did you make the connection with them?
Okay, so before I knew Lauren and Jenna, I knew Jenna as like a really big fan of Yes We Mystic.
Okay.
She loved them so much. And when we started playing music, we noticed Adam Fear was really in like at shows and stuff, and he loves the local music scene.
For sure.
And he saw us at one of our shows last year, or the year before, and he said he wanted to work with us, and he talked about his label, and we just thought like, why wouldn't we,
Yeah, because we really like everything you talked about. We also are busy and we're like anxious people, and having someone who kind of knows what's up and like helping us kind of do it has been really nice.
For sure.
Because I think we would be a lot more just like writing songs for ourselves and like a little bit more like closed off in that way if it wasn't for Adam and the label. So that has also been nice and good.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you fit in as a band with the other artists he has on his label? I mean, I know it's fairly new and there's only a handful of people on there so far, but I mean, he's got Amos the Kid and Julian's daughter, and I mean, his own stuff. I'm sure he'll be releasing some of that on there if he hasn't already. So do you think that sonically that you mesh well with the other artists who are coming out on that tape label?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love Amos so much. Yeah,
because I didn't really know, I didn't know too much about Julian's daughter either, or Amos as much before like they released the things that they did, and after hearing them both, I love both of those albums, so it's good.
Yeah, I'm like happy to.
Yeah, I think there's also like we still all like have like a kind of distinct sound still, which is nice, but like there's still like an overarching indie alt theme.
Yeah.
That maybe bleeds into a question that I hate asking because everyone hates answering it. But how do you define the sound that you do? You just mentioned indie alt. Is that sort of where you place yourselves, or do you have a more specific definition that if someone meets you on the street and says, "Hey, I hear you're in a band now," how do you define it? What's the easy, quick version of what you play, if there is one?
I think the easy, quick version could be
indie
alt, but then
because we started off as like folk.
Right.
Yeah, we really did. We had like acoustic things going on.
Yeah, it's kind of like weird how much we've already like kind of changed our sound, but it's still not really changed, but just kind of morphed into this. But yeah, I think like indie alternative, indie rock, indie pop kind of thing.
Okay.
Would be the general
feel.
Well, and those are all umbrella genres anyway, right? I mean, you could say alternative rock or indie pop or any of those things, and there's so many different like kind of tentacles to different genres they fall into.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like I look back at all the music we've made so far, and I just realize how much we've changed as artists and as songwriters, and it's hard because it's almost like the genre that we're going for is it's constantly changing, and so it's so like we might go buy something different next year. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And I feel like it sometimes kind of changes song to song too.
It does for
we'll
sure.
play a song and it's super chill and tiny, and it's a little more acoustic and just like indie. And then we've had ones that I would even say get a little rock-ish. So it's like hard to
Is that differentiated by who's contributed to the writing of the song? Like, are there distinct styles that you guys can pick out kind of in each other's work that said, oh, this song is more folk oriented or this has rock elements, or is it all kind of a big mesh together?
I think it's like usually one of us starts a song, like 30 seconds of a song or a minute, and then we all finish it. And then Isaac, who drums for us, goes crazy. And then like usually we're like, hey, no, Isaac, you got to do this. And then we kind of direct each other and say, and like we'll fool around and we'll play around. And then Jenna will do something on the guitar and I'll be like, oh, that was crazy. And then Lauren will do something on the keys and I'll go, that was crazy. And then like sometimes it just morphs into like something bigger than we could have ever imagined it to be.
Okay.
And then sometimes there's been a couple times where like Jenna or I or Lauren have written like one song, a whole song, and then we just play it, and then it is what it is.
But even when you just do that, it's like the parts that each of us play on our instruments are made by ourselves. It's not like Emily would make a keys part, like I would make the keys part.
Yeah,
right.
They're all kind of collaborative anyway, but
yeah.
There's definitely ones where like someone starts it. I think they all end up mushing into the same kind of sound for that song, no matter who started it.
Yeah, I think the thing though is that like we still do have like pretty similar, but there are some differences in like our like influences and like who we listen to. And like for an example, like I remember one time one of our favorite songs to play, I started writing it, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna write a song how I think Emily would write a song. And it like when I played it for her, she was like, wow, I love this. This is so good. I'm like, I thought you would. I was trying things I thought you might be into. And then it's like, yeah, it just kind of went from there. So like there's still like, differences in like how we would approach things, I think, which is nice.
It's cool because like I listen to some bands you guys don't listen to, and you listen to a bunch that I don't listen to, and it's wonderful seeing all our influences like mesh together in our work.
Mm-hmm. Are there artists that the three of you all agree on as far as influences? And I guess what would be some examples of kind of, you know, the Venn diagram meets in the middle of all three of your influences?
Top of the pyramid, Big Thief.
Big Thief, yeah.
Big Thief. Girlpool was huge for us.
Lomelda. Yeah.
Those are the big.
Where do you diverge? Like, is one of the three of you listening to something super out there that the others just can't handle, or is it all relatively within the same sort of general styles? Like, is there a secret death metal fan or something, you know, among the three of you?
I think anything that would have started as one of the far outs, we have maybe converted the others.
Okay.
So like, or we're working on it.
You guys don't like Paramore?
Oh, Alex a little bit, but like Emily's a Paramore fan.
Before like really knew Emily, like all I really knew about her is that like, oh yeah, she kind of like listens to punk music and like has a really good voice. So I think that's like the one area like I don't really know much about at all. But like I'm not
Paramore's not punk, but
and it took us like a while to get Emily to willingly listen to 100 Gex with us, but obviously that's not an influence in our music at all. That Emily's a little.
That was hard to get into, but I just think the biggest thing is like I used to listen to like Sleeping with Sirens and like like Bring Me the Horizon and like that's not anything I could get these little girls into.
No, I don't hear those influences in what I've heard of your sound. No. Is there potential for that to seep in at some point? Like, do you think that somewhere down the road, one of your songs is suddenly going to have those elements of those bands?
We just learned how to do feedback on the guitar.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I just upgraded my amp and feedback has been like. Feedback's cool.
It is cool.
It's cool.
We just keep evolving.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, going to see Yes We Mystic. One of the things I like to do on the show, because I'm talking to people who are between the ages of like, I don't know, 18 and 70, right? Depending on who the artist is trying to place where everyone comes from as far as what bands they grew up going to see in the local music scene. So what are some of the other artists, I guess, that influenced the three of you, as far as, maybe in some way encourage you to get into playing music yourselves?
Well, growing up, like Lauren and I were sisters, and our parents always played the weaker thans, and
Okay.
we've seen them a few times, and like they're awesome and incredible. And we actually, 2 years ago, we were part of like the Stingray Young Performers program through Folk Fest, and
Oh, cool.
John K. Sampson and his partner Christine were our mentors, so that was like
It
super
was like a
incredible
dream
for
come
us.
true.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, like for me, I think like Yes We Mystic, obviously. And then we have like more recently Urban Vacation and Jamboree are like some of our really good friends.
Yeah, and I think not to like speak too much for Emily and Jenna, but like I don't think Jenna or Emily was even allowed to go to too many shows being that we are young.
Right.
But like before COVID even happened, it was like Emily just turned, like we just got like a year in of like going to shows together before it kind of was put to a halt. But
Yeah. Well, that's maybe a good segue into the pandemic too, because I mean, it's affected everyone differently, especially creative people, because you can't play shows. A lot of people can't rehearse together because of social distancing. What has the effect been on you? And then I guess a further question to that is, what is it like putting out a tape during the middle of a pandemic?
It's the same for making music. I don't feel much of a difference. It's just hard because usually we make music together.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I had a song and I hated it. It was so bad and I hated it. And it's on our tape now because before COVID we worked on it together. And we transformed it. And now when I have a song that I was like, oh shit, like I would love to hear like what the girls could add to this, I can't.
Yeah.
And then I just end up like throwing it away in the garbage because I hate it.
And now I'm trying to be like, Emily, every little thing that you think you hate, you have to send so that we can.
Yeah.
But it's hard
We're
because
gonna
then
dumpster dive in Emily's
Yeah, we're gonna
garage
dump-
band trash folder.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like Emily has lots of treasures she probably hasn't shared. But it's hard because like like I don't even remember how to play piano, it feels like, because we've not like I don't remember the chords to the song because we've not
Right.
Yeah.
practiced in over a year.
Mhm.
And like it just kind of feel unreal that like we in a different universe we would be getting to have like a little mini tour with this and be playing all these shows, and it feels a little bit sad to not be able to share that with people, but also it's our first thing to put out, so there's nothing to compare it to. I might have been more sad if we had released something pre-COVID and then had to do it again, and I'd be, oh man, not as fun. But we don't know exactly what we're missing, so I'm hoping that's like maybe that's the silver lining. Still kind of sucks that it would be nice to be able to like perform it in a room with our friends and have a whole little party for it. But
Well, I guess the one other silver lining too is that it's going to be new to a lot of people by the time you actually can play it, right? So I mean, hopefully things clear up sooner rather than later in terms of being able to have shows, and then hopefully by then people will have heard the tape and they'll be excited to see you play live.
That's true.
yeah.
Mhm.
One of the things I like about House of Wonders is they are putting out tapes, because I'm old and I never stopped listening to tapes and I'm set in my ways. So it's very nice to see new local stuff coming out on cassette. But what is how do the three of you listen to music? And then how do you feel about putting out a tape? Because I realize that like I'm kind of in the minority in the sense that most people my age and younger threw out their tapes and even their CDs years ago, and they're mostly doing things on streaming and whatnot. So what is your take, I guess, on tapes, and how do you feel about the fact that your music is coming out in that format?
I personally am a bit of a hoarder, and I like to have music on all sorts of formats, and I have a cassette collection and a record collection, and I don't actually have a CD collection yet.
Right.
But like of course I feel like it would be really like a cool thing to have our own vinyl record one day. But as we are just tiny baby band, cassettes are a lot more affordable.
Way more affordable, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So And cassettes are cute and fun. It's like, I agree, maybe the sound of the quality of sound on a cassette maybe isn't like a match to anything else. And I feel like it's got charm though. Like I kind of like that it sounds like that sometimes, especially for this album. Like maybe for a different album, like if we recorded some other stuff, just all the songs we picked kind of, I think, fit nicely on a cassette and how it sounds. And it was really fun to design and play with the colors and the layout and the everything for the little cassette. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know, Emily, you just got a record player a little bit ago.
Yeah, I got one for my 19th birthday. They're very expensive.
They are, yeah.
So I don't have a lot, but I've never played anything on a cassette. It's new to me. I like that it was cheap to make, and I like our little design. It's cute.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just have I've just started my own little cassette collection, but I think it's really nice. Like, obviously, like a record isn't affordable, or like a vinyl album isn't affordable right now, but like to still be able to release something physical, I think that's a really nice thing. Not just like out on streaming. It's nice to like hold it in your hands.
One of the Jenna and I don't have data, and I always just prefer listening to like a CD or cassette in my car still, because even with Spotify and downloading stuff, it just like never works. And if I just put a whole album in, it's nice, and I like that. So like I like streaming is nice, but I like having a physical object. It would be more fun if we could have a live show and we could say, here, get a tape after the show, but that'll just have to happen next time.
Right. Well, no, it's cool because like I said, I saw this ridiculously huge collection of tapes and CDs and stuff because I never stopped listening to them, and I refuse to, because I'm stubborn, I refuse to switch over to streaming and everything like that. So you can appeal to people like me and to people who are just getting into tapes, and then you also have the option for digital for people who just don't want to deal with physical stuff at all. So I think you have most of your bases covered in terms of the range of people who will be listening to your stuff.
For sure.
It's kind of cool, yeah. So what is your? I mean, obviously the pandemic's still happening. No one knows when it's gonna end, when things are gonna change as far as being able to play shows. But assuming it ended like next week, what would the first thing you would do be? Would you want to just get together and start rehearsing, or try to book a show immediately? What would you do?
You need a lot of practice.
I would kiss and hug everyone, and
we're just gonna like get together and just celebrate each other's
share our energy a bit. Remember that we're friends,
right?
Right.
Songs in one night or something.
I definitely think we should I would go over to your house, and we would bake a cake, and we would order sushi, and we would rehearse and practice all of our songs, and I would just love to do like a whole set.
Pull an all-nighter and just keep playing music until we fell asleep.
Honestly, like I would like try to finish songs with you guys and like try to write more,
Obviously shows would be fun too. I just actually have to remember how to play instruments again first.
I tried to play one of our songs the other day and I couldn't remember the chords, and I was too
real. I
know you guys.
You have time, right? I mean, a few more months of this release, so you have time to remember it. Yeah. No, it's I mean, I certainly hope things change in the near future so people can start doing shows again, but it's so weird. It's like the weirdest time ever for anybody in any field, right? So
yeah.
What's the story behind the name? And when I got the email from Adam asking if I could talk to you guys on the show, I was like, oh yeah, it's that astrology band. And because I couldn't remember what the name was, but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yes, that's what it is. But I knew there was an astrology band, and I feel bad calling you an astrology band, but the name, it was my connection to it. So what's the background behind the name?
Well, I'm quite into astrology, and my rising sign is Virgo, and Lauren and Emily, their sun signs are both Virgo, so it's kind of just like something that connects us.
Okay.
And we just kind of like the way it sounds, and like your rising sign is like how others perceive you and like how you present yourself, and I just think that's kind of like a nice kind of thing to be behind.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember the day that we decided the name, and I was in your old bedroom, Jenna, and Lauren was sitting on the bed and I was on the floor, and you're like, so what about Virgo Rising? And I was like, yeah. Mhm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Did you have other really bad ones before that? Like, was that?
I feel,
No.
I feel like that was
I had like Virgo Rising in the back of my head for like
as
a
a band
couple
name,
years
yeah.
before this even started. I was
Okay,
like,
okay.
this would be a cool band name.
And you brought
then
it
just
up and
like
it was-
fit because
yeah.
like they both happen to be Virgos too. So it's like, oh, now like it makes sense. So
Oh my god,
Right.
it was meant to be.
I feel like if Jenna started a solo project, it would be named that anyway. And then it just happened to be that we were both also Virgos and liked it, and then we didn't even have to brainstorm anything else,
No.
Right.
which is
Yeah,
just lucky.
it's
Yeah.
unique too, right? Because I mean, yeah, it definitely. Oh yeah, the astrology band. Definitely memorable. So if people want to hear the tape, I know it's not out yet. What is the actual release date for the tape?
March 12th.
March 12th. Okay. And you have
Yeah.
a couple singles online now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And where can those be found if someone is hearing about you for the first time on this podcast and wants to, check out some of your music?
Spotify,
Apple Music,
Bandcamp,
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud,
I think
Apple Music,
yeah.
Okay, most of the places people go
Amazon?
to find.
Amazon Music.
Okay. I didn't even know that was a thing, but that's cool. Amazon Music, right on. So, and again, like no one knows when shows are going to happen again, but because this is a podcast, the good thing about it is someone could discover it a year from now. And maybe by then, maybe you're actively playing shows, hopefully by then, and maybe you might even have more releases out, right? So if someone wants to find out more about what you're up to, whether it's shows coming out, whether it's music coming out, what's the best option for that? Is there a website, social media? Where should they go?
Probably our Instagram is the only kind of thing we have an Instagram and a Facebook, but they're the same. They got the same info on them, and I think.
Right.
And also, I think Adam like updates stuff about us on like the House of Wonders website too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And our Instagram is just Virgo Rising Music, all one word.
Was there another Virgo Rising that was already taken?
I think just the general handle was taken, but
Yeah.
not by a band, but I
Okay,
probably
okay.
with the Virgo Rising.
Yeah.
Wait, I imagine you're probably
Yeah.
the only band with that name. I would hope anyway. Yeah. It's one of the benefits of picking not a typical band name, I guess. What is the name of the tape?
It is called 16th Sapphire.
Okay, and what's the significance of that? Is that connected to the name of the
It's
band?
my
Okay.
my mom. I wear a ring that my mom gave to me when I turned 16, and it used to be her ring. And when I was 16, life was not very good. So it just this whole, because we're all young women trying to get through, where it just kind of signifies like growing up, being a young woman and making mistakes and doing dumb things and doing things that make us happy and crying and kissing and hugging.
One of the things I noticed about the whole label and all the artists on there is they're all very young. I mean, most of the members of Julian's Daughter are quite young as well. I think Amos is pretty young. Do you feel like you I guess I'm trying to the way to word the question, I'm trying to figure it out, but how do you feel, I guess, as a young person in the local music scene? Because like I'm almost 40. I've been first time I played in a band was in 1995 when I was in junior high, which I mean I'm sure none of you were even born yet, right? And so I mean, like my perception of what the local music scene is very different. So what has your experience been being young people, being young women in the local music scene? Have you found it welcoming? Have you found like that there's a lot of opportunities to get out there and play shows and get opportunities to record and perform and things like that?
I think it's been really helpful that a lot of our actual close and good friends are also in the music scene, and it helps it feel welcoming because it's less scary than like we don't know what's going on and everyone's a stranger. Like we have a lot of people that we have met and connected with that are nice and friendly that we like. I feel like there's probably different levels of the local music scene that we have not broken it. Like it's very much like
our whole world is like the Goodwill and the Daughter
and Force
and like real love and like that's it. But then there's like I feel like in like my head there's like the next level, which is like the bit older, and it's like Yes Be Mystic, Royal Canoe, Begonia, and then there's probably older than that, like Weaker Thans and stuff, and like we don't really know any of those people, but I'm sure they're just as nice. But like to us,
it's very much like hanging out. Like every show, well, we've had one show that we would consider fancy. That was at the West End Cultural Center. That was our fanciest, old big kid show that we've ever done. But that was just like a special special nice opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that
Even
we're
it felt very nice.
starting. Pardon?
Even then, it felt nice. Everybody was so nice. It was not
Yeah.
scary at all.
Yeah.
And I like that we're starting while we're young. Like I've always wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And I was so worried that I wouldn't be in a band until I was like 40. So it's really nice to do it while I'm still a young woman, and to like so many life experiences I never would have had if I wasn't in this band. And so I just feel like it's kind of awesome.
Cool.